Okay, so in this video, we're gonna look at GIRLSET, which was previously VCHA. I did a reading on them, 2 readings. Both of them were like freaky accurate, and I ended up predicting a lot of what VCHA went through, and especially KG. And then it came out like a couple months later. I have not followed the case between KG and JYP. I have not followed the girly bops at all. I think they just came out with a song, Commas, which I just listened to. It's okay, you know, we'll see what happens with them. I'm gonna look at GIRLSET's future, also how KG is doing, and generally how their future is gonna go. With that being said, everything I say is all alleged and for entertainment purposes only, and with peace and love, and let's go. Okay, the future of GIRLSET, that's power, okay. This is like starting over, or sometimes it's also like sometimes this card can talk about hanging on to something that like you should let go of, because it's like the end, especially because it's a 10. It can be about like communication, which includes like singing. This is the fruits of our labors. Is it going to pay off? And there's like an uncertainty in that, especially when it comes to like money or dividends, but it can also be in terms of like success. The Hanged Man is a new perspective. They have invented themselves, I think. I think their styling is much older than when GIRLSET's styling is much older than what VCHA had going on. VCHA felt very young, but they also had younger members. I think all of the members of GIRLSET are old adults now, like 18 or something. That might be what that's indicating. The Knight of Pentacles in the reverse position, again, that's money. And like, already it kind of seems like they might have issues. I mean, like JYP in general is a really like wealthy company, I would say. They have like enough money. But GIRLSET, it seems almost like they might have struggles getting income, or like, you know, like selling shows, like getting enough streams or something. There's something about like cash flow for them. Like they're not as like financially viable as say like Stray Kids. But Stray Kids is one of the most financially viable groups, I would imagine. Anyway, 3 of Swords is like heartbreak. Already the vibe is complicated, I'll say. A lot of the reading so far seems to... I did ask if GIRLSET was going to be successful, and the vibe is like iffy. This is like power, and at first I was like, okay, like power, powerful. This now reads sort of like JYP has the girls on like a tighter leash, because they don't want any like speculation that GIRLSET is being mistreated, because people already have like eagle eyes on that group because of what happened with KG and like the lawsuit and like accusations and things like that. I think they settled. I read that KG and JYP settled. At any rate, the girls were on a tight leash. I think in how they behave and like how they show up on camera and what they say, it's very like, just be cool, do your job, everything will work out. Money is going to be an issue for them, I think. But money, but sort of like success too, because it's sort of like getting like a lot of streams is going to be an issue for them, I could see, or getting, I guess, like a viable enough fan base. And not necessarily because GIRLSET is not meritable. I think it's almost like they're not going to be as I have to be careful. I have no horse in this race one way or another. I don't have like enough like skin in the game to like or dislike GIRLSET or VCHA. But it seems almost like there's something that is not particularly unique enough about them, or different enough, or there's something that like K-pop, I think, has become more and more competitive as like a new group basically debuts like every day, you know what I mean? And so it's sort of like, how is VCHA going to be different from every other K-pop group, and how are they also going to be different from Cat's Eye? Because I think VCHA is maybe, just in terms of like what they're doing, Cat's Eye would be like an okay comparison, because it's like an international, although all of the members of VCHA are American. But they have like women of color in that group, and so it seems like VCHA's gonna struggle to get like a strong fan base and one that's financially viable. And so there's going to be issues around money. I'm not really sure how it works, but it seems almost like some people claim that the members of GIRLSET are like they're in debt, or like they owe money. I'm not really sure if that's true or not, but something about money is gonna be an issue for them. Almost like JYP is going to be unimpressed with like how much money they bring in. I also see success being slow growing for them, especially as the Knight of Pentacles can talk about like financial viability, or like how like much product, or like how much you produce. And this is like a slower moving card in the reverse position. Sometimes it's almost like at a standstill. They might have some struggles. This is heartbreak though, but that's happiness. The Sun is like happiness. This is like a lack of commitment or fulfillment, and the Hermit is like sometimes like a realization, but sometimes it's still like almost like going off on your own. I think this might be KG low-key. The Sun card. We also just got the Heartbreak card. Illumination. Oh, more info. This is annoying. I really don't know how anything works. I would imagine I'm gonna look it up right now if they settled or not. I'm so sorry. KG and JYP settlement. Yes, I think they did settle. I predicted that, by the way. I said that they were probably going to settle. Whatever, anyway, unimportant. It seems like KG and JYP settled. And I would imagine in a settlement, you really couldn't say more about the court case, but this almost reads like more information is going to come out, because the sun card is like illumination, but the sun card I often read as like happiness or like joy or like childlike play. In this case, it feels like almost like light is being shown on something. But I mean, this doesn't have to do with KG. It could do with more information about like what happened prior, or what happened with Kaylee, the other member that left. It could be something to do with the group dynamics, but it seems like there's going to be more light shown on something, but it's going to be somewhat unfavorable, I would say, or something that makes people who are paying attention be like, oh, that's a little weird. Like if information leaks, or like if like one of the girls of GIRLSET is like texting with somebody and that person leaks information about like what they said or something. There's something about that. There's gonna be I don't know if it'll be particularly scandalous like that though, but there's gonna be like an illumination of something. It seems like something that's going to be like complicated at the very least, even if it's not like sad or like or like really like dramatic. But this can talk about a contract. It can also just talk about an agreement or a mutual exchange of some sort, but it's in the reverse position, which is like the breaking of it, the separation of it, or something not following through in some way. And the Hermit is like somebody, this reads literally as somebody who's been excluded or like excommunicated, which I feel like is KG. I'm not sure. Which is why I said it might have to do with her. It might have to do with the other members though, or the GIRLSET at large. But the energy, it doesn't feel like horribly bad. It just feels kind of like arduous, and the Queen of Cups is in the reverse position is like emotional unfulfillment. It can also be like emotional instability, especially in the feminine. Sort of like people I'm not gonna say that. How do I word this? Almost like, I don't know if the members of GIRLSET, the four of them, I don't think they have like the strongest like sisterhood bond. I do to a degree. I feel like it's not necessarily that they're mean girls. I'm not claiming that. It's almost like their personalities don't fully click. I think what brings GIRLSET together is their strong desire to be like stars, or like famous, or singers, especially in the capacity of a K-pop like system. That's like the thing that like unites them together. But I don't think they like are necessarily, what's the word, the most compatible. So I think they're professional, so I don't necessarily see fighting. I almost don't see like closeness either. I don't know if they all live together. I would low-key kind of imagine they do. But it doesn't seem like they really hang out all that much or talk that much, and there's not a lot of warmth in the group dynamic, I'll say. It's very like, I'm trying to say this politely, but it's almost kind of like bitchy, but not necessarily like mean. It's more like, you know, when you are with somebody and you don't, it's sort of like the energy is just not it. The compatibility, there's like not a harmony there. So it's sort of like when they're around, you're kind of like, oh, they're around. You know what I mean? I don't, this also could be, they are a new group, but they've known each other for quite a while. You know what I mean? Like VCHA would probably, if the things hadn't happened, they'd be in like their second year maybe, or maybe their third year, I'm not sure. Anyway, the members don't seem close. They might grow to become close, but I really don't think so. I think the whole lawsuit kind of put like a wrench in like what could be what could have become a closer group. They're professionals though, so it's sort of like we show up to our things, like we smile for the camera, we go home, and then we're not like, we have our own friends, which you could argue is kind of healthy because this is a job. Page of Cups. In the reverse position, that can be a lack of emotional fulfillment. It can also be creativity. Something seems wrong behind the scenes emotionally. I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna say it. I'm not claiming mistreatment. The energy does not give mistreatment. It's giving like kind of like emotionally stifled, or almost like whoever is like now managing them, the people who like work with VCHA to like help them get places or whatever. It seems almost like it's almost like a zero tolerance, or like a no nonsense type of an environment. Almost because it's like overcorrection from being like heavily strict, and it's not strict in like a mean way, but there's not a lot of warmth or like coziness or like fuzziness either. It's really odd, and it's almost like there's eggshells because they're like, we don't want one of you guys suing us again. You know what I mean? Like it's really weird. Their environment feels sterile. is I guess the way to explain it. The tower in the reverse position is like dodging of a bullet. Sometimes it's like, but it seems like they need a tower moment, if I'm honest. This is almost like trying to function on like unstable ground, or like trying to function in dysfunction. That's the vibe it's giving. But the tower and the upright is like the leveling of something, so you can build something better. It's almost like they're keeping the something that should change, they're keeping it the same, or it's like almost being forced to say the same. There's something that's gonna block VCHA from like a lot of success. When I say success, I don't necessarily mean everyone determines success differently, and I think it would be successful if VCHA got like a pretty like, you know, dedicated fan base. It's pretty successful for K-pop groups. There's something that's going to limit them or block them in some way. It also might have to do with like their debut schedule, like they're not going to come out with music as much, or it's not going to hit the same, or it's not going to be like ignite, or there's something about it, I don't know. I also do think JYP, almost all of their groups have been struggling a lot in terms of like music. If you like JYP's music style, you obviously like JYP groups, but it's almost like JYP is struggling kind of like with creative direction almost, where it's like everything is a little bit the same, or it's very predictable, or it's very like, oh, okay, and like almost like JYP also struggles a little bit with like juvenility. What is that word? I'm not sure. Anyway, where it's like ITZY, for example, they're like in their mid-20s now, and it seems like the concepts that they do are a little bit still on like the younger side, or like there's like a youthfulness to it, instead of like getting like some scratch in your throat, or like even like, I love ITZY, by the way, but it's like, and not that every group has to be like sexy or mature in that way, but it's almost like JYP gives almost kind of like Disney Channel, when it's like we could like do like Degrassi, you know what I mean? Does that make sense? Anyway, moving on. Knight of Cups, emotional, but this is good though. Queen of Wands is like communication. The Knight of Cups can be like emotional growth or like movement in some way, but the Strength is feeling disempowered. I like the girls in the sense that I think that they, I think like the lawsuit specifically has given them a stronger voice, almost more than if the lawsuit had not happened. I think that they would be a lot more like worker bees and like a lot more like subservient. It's almost like they have a stronger awareness of what like their actual legal rights are, and almost kind of like in a way that I don't think all K-pop idols know, because it's sort of like if you don't 100% know what like the lines are or the rules are, you're like afraid to break them because there's like that like uncertainty. Seeing like I think through like the legal process and like maybe how hard it was for KG to get out of her contract, or like learning more about like what she's entitled to, it's almost like, oh, okay, like if we do this, like JYP can't immediately fire us, or like, you know, give us retribution or something. There's something like empowering in that sense, so they have more knowledge about like what they can and can't get away with in a way that I don't think all K-pop idols are aware of, because they're like afraid to do it at all. KG already did that for them, so that's helpful. The Knight of Cups, I don't know how old the members are. I'm me looking stuff up. Oh, okay. They're all like 19-ish, 18, 19. Adults now, which is great. It seems like as they age, they're gonna start to have a desire to be, they're specifically like creatively and artistically, they're gonna have a stronger desire to have more flexibility in that way. And if you are somebody who is creative or artistic, there is like an emotional like range or like space that you need that isn't present currently, even if you're not the one creating the music or doing anything. I mean, dancing is a form of artistry, even if you're not like the choreographer of it. And so it's sort of like they're gonna need that. And so I see them starting to like almost not like push back as in like fight or whatever, but almost like they're just going to expand, and JYP is going to have to accommodate them to like make this work. The Strength is like disempowerment, but to me this almost was like a fight between JYP and VCHA. It seems like VCHA is going to become on top and like have more agency, kind of. This will happen over time though, so I don't think you should be all that worried about the 4 members that remain. It seems like they are going to flex themselves more as they age and they get more comfortable in the routine of being on stage and touring or whatever they're going to be doing. JYP also is like terrified of like something happening again. I think JYP genuinely is really terrified of I think it was just unexpected that they would get sued like that, because it's pretty rare that idols like really fight back against their companies, especially idols in like the 4th generation. And New Jeans is an exception, but in general, it's like most idols, these days are very like, they just kind of do what they're told, and like they seem gung-ho with what's going on. JYP was like, oh my god, they felt very blindsided, it seems. Justice, that's nice, justice being served, but this is like, these two cards together are hilarious, because this is justice being served, but then the Seven of Swords is like shadiness going on, or dishonesty. Sometimes it can also be about a lie. And then the Ace of Wands is the start of something new, but it's creative or passionate or energetic. And that guy is looking at the Ace of Wands. Oh, it's not sabotage per se. Because it's not as like sneaky as that. It's not as sophisticated or creative as that. But there's something that's going to undercut their success. I don't know. If you're a fan of GIRLSET, I think they will release. I think if you liked what they've released so far, you'll probably continue to like what they release. I don't see their fan base expanding quickly, which is like a key part of like, I think, K-pop idols' success. I feel like something's going to happen related to the case. I keep coming back to that because justice is like, justice is served, and because it's in the upright, you would think that's like a really pure card, but this energy of this card is given kind of like almost like a wink or like a very tongue-in-cheek, like justice, like, you know what I mean? Like, and this card is like about lies. It seems like there's something shady going on, but not like, it doesn't seem as like complex as that. It's almost like there's information that hasn't been released yet, which would like, if like a fans like knew about it, they'd be like, oh, it would like change your opinion a little bit. I don't know if it's hidden or if it just hasn't been released or it's like strategically somebody's holding something back. I'm not sure, because the Ace of Wands is like the not starting something new, especially creative. But this seems more like energy, like it's going to affect their energy as a group in some way. The Stars, either the loss of a star, it can also be the lack of vulnerability. The Temperance, and Cups right there. But the Temperance is like balance. It can also be like patience. And then the Empress in the reverse position is like a lack of like taking care of yourself, a lack of feminine energy, a lack of self-nurturing. VCHA's future success is super rocky. I think a lot of tiny things are going to sabotage them. I think the lawsuit and some people on principle are like, I'm not going to support GIRLSET because of what KG alleged. People on principle are not going to, some people I think are just not really interested in like the vibe or the style of GIRLSET, or just like, they're like, I don't know, like I'm interested in other groups. I think JYP in a way is going to, not necessarily, JYP is not going to intentionally sabotage GIRLSET. I don't see that. What I do see is them not having a clear thumb on like the heartbeat of who the demographic that would like GIRLSET. They're not gonna like know what they want. So GIRLSET is gonna be, I kind of see them being a little bit like almost similar to ITZY if they were trying to make a group of if they were trying to like make ITZY like American. That's kind of the vibe it's giving. Not necessarily in terms of musical sound, but like the career of ITZY, if they were trying to make ITZY American, but they have no idea what Americans like. America in general, I think, is very like all over the place. So designing a group for America is going to be kind of challenging, especially because you also have so much competition from other K-pop groups and also from Cat's Eye. Their success is iffy. Temperance is like good though, because it's like balanced, but sometimes this is also experimentation and like a lack of nurturing. I don't necessarily worry for GIRLSET. I don't think their environment is nice, but I also feel like they are aware of that, the members, so I don't think they care. They want to be famous. I think they might have some frustration about how slow their growth could be. Lack of merriment, giving and taking, especially when it comes to money. Oh, and investing more. Disappointment and grief. Another member low-key might leave. This doesn't seem soon. This seems like a little bit from now. Maybe a year or two from now. Another member might leave. They might gain a member as well, which would be kind of cool. Or another member might want to leave, but can't leave because I have a suspicion they might have done some changes to their contracts, all of the members, through like this lawsuit or something. I don't think that was like they were forced to, but almost like JYP offered them something else. Maybe it's to keep quiet. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Anyway, I think things have changed though from what they originally signed to now. At any rate, one member, I just see someone like, the reason why is I see something separating from the group, and it seems like a person, and I don't know what else that would be. It could be something that I'm not like imagining right now. But it's I don't 100% know how like JYP doles out money to groups, but it's almost like VCHA's or GIRLSET's going to require more money to keep going because they're not going to be able to generate a lot on their own. This is grief and disappointment, though. Someone's disappointed. This seems almost like the higher ups at JYP are disappointed, but I also see the members being disappointed. And I also see, like, fans kind of as well. Almost like GIRLSET's going to have issues with, what's the word? Evolving over the years. Because I do see them, like, trying. I don't think GIRLSET's going to disband, like, suddenly or, like, soon. They're going to keep trying to, like, make this group, like, take off. And I think there's going to be a lot of barriers. Just like tiny things that they're not really like thinking about or don't know how to overcome. But they will release music, and if you like what they're doing, they're gonna keep doing it, I feel. I feel like they're gonna try. I do see them trying to become more American, and American music, whether you like it or not, is, you know, usually a little bit more like sexy. So they will do that, I will say. But it's gonna be like, to be honest, for some reason, I keep imagining whatever the baby of ITZY and Cat's Eye are. But specifically ITZY from like kind of like earlier on in their debut, probably from like, oh, I don't know, like Mafia. Think like Mafia's ITZY, or like that one song where it's like in ITZY where like Yurjin goes like ITZY. Do you know what I'm talking about? That era of ITZY with what Cat's Eye is doing currently. That's kind of what VCHA's gonna do, and they're kind of gonna stay there. But their music is gonna have a very JYP flair to it. If you like that, you're gonna like GIRLSET, and if you don't, I don't know, look elsewhere. This is a lack of manifestation. This is a lack of family happily ever after, and this is a lack of completion. They have a lot of roadblocks, I fear. I think the girls want to be doing what they're doing. I don't think you should be all that worried about them. I also think the lawsuit has helped them understand a little bit more what their rights are, which is great. We should pull on KG specifically. We got almost no information. This video is so long. I'm so sorry. Okay, let's ask specifically about KG. Okay, that's like friendship. It can be community. It can also be kind of like celebration of an accomplishment with other people, or like a party. Queen of Cups, that seems like it's KG energetically. That's like emotional fulfillment. The King of Wands, that's like JYP. It doesn't have to be, but it always gives that. This is building. A lot of community as well. Oh, weird. The Hermit in the reverse position again, which is like being exiled. The Knight of... Oh, that's a little sad. It's not so much that I think KG regrets what happened. It's almost like there's a grief and a disappointment, which absolutely makes sense. She auditioned to be on the show, whatever it was, America to Korea. A2K. I'm not sure. She auditioned for the show to get into VCHA, and then obviously like a lot of stuff happened, and she is now out of the group. And I think like that's a dream of hers, like a lot of people's is, you know, to be famous, to be a star, to be a K-pop idol, and to be chosen to be in the group, and then for everything to happen. She feels a sense of like grief and like sadness and remorse. It's not so much regret, but that's like what keeps popping up, but a flavor of that, but not necessarily like she wished she hadn't gone through with the lawsuit. It's almost like she wished things would have turned out differently. So it's almost like I see her like looking at like the members of GIRLSET who are now like out doing stuff again. They've like re-debuted, and she's like sad. She's like, dang, like I wanna, because like she is somebody I think that is a creative, wants to sing and dance, and wants to be famous. It's almost like she's like, not that she blew her shot, but almost like it like things didn't work out, you know what I mean? And this is JYP looking at her. I think he has a frustration. I think JYP had like a specific liking to KG. This seems like JYP, by the way, the person, not the company. I think JYP, the person, has been following along. I think JYP, didn't he like handpick VCHA? I'm not sure. He was involved with the show, right? Or what, like, was he in charge? I'm not sure what JYP's role is, but I remember him being somewhat involved with. I also feel like JYP has always wanted a more like international, especially American type of group. JYP seems very interested in like American culture generally. I think he's sad that she is not in the group. I think he had a keen liking to her for some reason. It might have been her style. It might have, because I keep picturing like how she physically looks, but maybe I'm misinterpreting that. But in some way or another, he like is looking at her as she's looking at them, and it's sort of like you could have had it all. I'm not making any moral judgments on like her decision to sue or anything like that, but there's almost sort of like a melancholy. This is like the members of GIRLSET working, because this is like them celebrating, this is them working, and I think this is KG where it's sort of like I've been excommunicated. I don't think they talked to KG. I don't think I think the other members actually had almost kind of like a bitterness. They were like, you're gonna sue them and you're gonna ruin our chance. Obviously that didn't happen, but I think the members were pretty worried for a while. They're like, oh, like, we're toast. Like, we're never coming back. I think they feel very irritated that she did that. But again, it's like, you know, like, if you're being, you know, mistreated, whatever. I think everybody has a lot of opinions. At any rate, the Knight of Pentacles, again, which is like slow moving. Money. I think she might have gotten out of whatever debt she owed JYP, but lawsuits are really expensive, obviously, so she does owe money still. Might be like to the lawyers or somebody, or like in one way or another, money is not flowing. She's an adult now too. I think she's like 18. The Wheel of Fortune, that's fortune turning in your favor, and this is like an opportunity being handed to you. And then control and money. I think she might do something creative. You also might, it seems like she's going to like be visible again, doing something. I don't know what that means. I don't know if she's gonna like try to get into another group again, but she's going to be visible again. She might start her own solo singing career, or she might do something similar that's not like singing, but maybe it's acting or dancing or being part of like a reality TV show. There's something about like being visible, or like at least an offer being presented. She might not take it, or she might not make the cut, because this is about money, but it's more about like control and like desiring stability as well. This is the ending of something. Also, Logie being stabbed in the back. I feel like there's a lot going on. I don't feel like her and the members get along, and I don't think they got along. But to be fair, I feel like all of the members were not very close with one another. The Sun is in happiness, and the Temperance is like trying to find that happiness, trying to find that balance. I don't think she's particularly happy right now. I see her like, I mean, she went through a lot from a pretty young age. You know, being in a lawsuit at any age is really stressful, and like having that be a really public thing, along with like, you know, the lawsuit isn't something about like a parking ticket. Like, this is like a lot of things that she mentioned were like really like heavy, serious things. And so I feel like she feels like confused, and like I think she's matured in a way through hardship, but it's almost like she feels really like exhausted, or almost kind of like what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know what the word I'm looking for is. Scarred, but that's too heavy a word. Whatever. At any rate, the King of Pentacles. Someone is eyeing her. Somebody has their eye on KG. I don't know why. To be fair, I don't know if she's like wildly talented or something like that, or if like she has like a star quality about her. I really don't know a lot about VCHA or GIRLSET, I'll be honest. So there might be some, but I swear to God, somebody is watching her. Somebody with a lot of power is like watching her and like wants her to do something, or like wants her in something. It's interesting. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if it's K-pop related, or if it's more of like an American endeavor or something like that. But it seems like somebody who has the ability to put you in stuff. The High Priestess is like your higher calling. I think she's supposed to be famous too. Was she one of the more popular members, or one of the more prominent members? I also don't know that, but I feel like she was. And this, I literally don't know. And this is like the separation of something. It can also be a lack of a celebration. I think, to be honest, I would love to know what her natal chart is. I'd love to read it. But it seems like she's supposed to be in like public facing. But because of what happened, she has a lot of like scar tissue around that. But I really feel like she's supposed to be visible to the public in some way. Someone's watching her though. KG, if you're out there. Page of Cups in the reverse position. That's a lack of creativity. Sometimes it's a lack of luck. This is being bound up by your thoughts, tied up by your thoughts, and a lack of balance. I think she's really having a hard time quietly. I think that like what she went through was very confusing. I think in general the whole world is kind of like it's hard sometimes to feel a level of joy with what's happening. I think she's trying to work, or trying to like find her footing, or trying to like figure out what she wants to do and where she wants to go, because obviously she expected to be in a K-pop group for like, you know, the next like 7 years, and that has now pivoted to something else. I think she's wrestling with if she wants to continue with sort of an artistic creative path, or more of a traditional conventional path. Any final words for Miss Girly KG? Putting our swords down, lack of fighting. Page of Swords, wanting to fight again. Queen of Swords. She has more she wants to say. I don't know if it's maybe about the lawsuit in general, or her journey in general. She can't. I think she's like a gag order on her or something. Something that like she can't say what she wants to say. But it's almost like there's more to be said. Not even necessarily from like a petty fighting way. I think she has a lot of emotional charge to what she's saying, but it's sort of like there's more I want to go back in for to say. She might do it in a creative way as well, or like something might leak. She was like, I didn't say that, someone leaked it, I don't know. But in one way or another, she wants to say something. She has things she wants to say but cannot. I hope she does. I'm interested to know more. Good luck to GIRLSET. Good luck to KG. I wish everybody well.